I do not. It was live when I battered it on. Yeah. So is red. Were you able to cut that handheld? Yeah, still live. On the receiver, I only got like 2 bars. So I don't know how much analog gain. One, two, 3, 4, check. 1, 2. 1, 2. Hey, hey, check 1, 2, 3. One, two. 1, 2, 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as our program is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as our program is about to begin. For social media users joining us online and in the audience, please follow us at Nat Urban League on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and take a moment to update your social media platform using the hashtag NULCONF25. Don't forget to scan the QR code on social media. Don't forget to scan the QR code on the screen to download our 2025 National Urban League Conference app, or search the National Urban League in your app store. That will enhance your experience here this week. The app offers easy access to schedules, networking opportunities, and real-time updates. Ladies and gentlemen, please be advised that we are live streaming this event. We kindly ask that you remain mindful throughout the program, and as a courtesy to our speakers and viewers, please take a moment now to silence all mobile devices. Thank you. Welcome to the stage, Rhonda Spears Bell, Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications, National Urban League, and Executive Producer of the National Urban League Conference.
And welcome to the Legacy Leadership Awards Luncheon, hosted by the National Council of Urban League Guilds. I hope you're still riding the energy and inspiration from this morning, because the path ahead demands not just our attention, but our conviction. This is a moment that calls for every ounce of courage and clarity that we have. Now, day 2 of this conference isn't just a continuation, it's a turning point. It's a reminder that the power to shape the future doesn't sit in distant offices or policy papers. It lives in this room. It lives in each of you. And as local leaders, business leaders, and community leaders, you are the heartbeat of change that we need. You see the faces behind the statistics. You carry the weight of what's at stake when housing becomes unstable, when job opportunities dry up, and when educational equity slips further out of reach. That's why the urgency of what we heard during the State of Black America opening plenary this morning cannot be overstated. Systems we've spent generations building, brick by brick, vote by vote, voice by voice, are being targeted for dismantling. This isn't abstract, it's real, it's here, and it's accelerating. The agenda behind it threatens to roll back civil rights, concentrate power in dangerous ways. We heard our president say that today. And it will unravel the very fabric of our democracy. Let's be clear. What we're confronting is not just a shift in policy, it's a shift in values. And when those in power stop valuing equity, inclusion, justice, and truth, our communities become the first to feel the consequences. We are not simply fighting for real people. We are fighting for real people, their dignity, their safety, their right to be seen, to be heard, and to belong. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come too far, and we've sacrificed too much to let that be taken from us now. We cannot afford to be passive, not now, not ever. We must be bold. We must be strategic. And most of all, we must act. And we must act now. That is why we are here. To fully understand what is at stake, please read the full report available at stateofblackамerica.org. Share that with everyone. Now, here with us today to preside over this special event is Russ Mitchell. He's the anchor and managing editor at WKYC Studios right here in Cleveland. Russ is an Emmy Award-winning journalist whose career has spanned major global events and historic moments. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our presider for the afternoon, Russ Mitchell.
Rhonda, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this amazing event today, and I am clearly no Mayor Bibb, but for all of us who live here in Cleveland, I say, welcome to Cleveland, Ohio. We are so happy to have you with us this week. This luncheon, of course, is more than just a shared meal. It's a heartfelt celebration of the extraordinary work each of you contribute to our local communities. Today, we shine a light on the incredible achievements of our Guild chapters across the nation in leadership, in fundraising, and in service to our communities. Your dedication has not only changed lives, it has strengthened the very soul of the League's mission. At this time, can I please ask all Guilders to rise? Can we please give them a round of applause? We welcome you. So, to our esteemed speakers, fellow Guilders, and honored guests, welcome. We hope this luncheon fills you with pride for what you've accomplished and excitement for what's to come. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce to everyone Elder William C. Tarter Sr. of the Cleveland Church of Christ, Citadel of Hope Ministries, who will render the invocation. Elder Tarter.
Let's bow our heads together. Gracious God, our Father, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we thank you for being such an all-wise and all-powerful God. Lord, thank you for blessing us to be in this place, coming from near and far. You do all things well and in an excellent way. Thank you for blessing us by your grace to even be breathing without assistance, to know who we are and where we are, to keep our heart beating without us giving it a second thought. We are so grateful for the Urban League and all the partners who work with them to ensure that the underserved, those that have not seen the things that you have prepared for them, they're encouraged by the great work going on today. We're not weary in well-doing. Even though there is so much injustice and hatred and inequality in the world, we know that you are on our side, and you're more than the world against us. As we leave this place, we will work even more in unity to bless others. As we partake of this food today, may it nourish our bodies to do your will. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen, amen.
Elder Tarter, thank you so much. Our next speaker this afternoon is Angela R. Smith. She's the president of the National Council of Urban League Guilds, an auxiliary of the National Urban League dedicated to volunteerism and grassroots community engagement. In her role, she leads national efforts in strategic planning and advocacy, supporting Guild chapters across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium, Angela R. Smith.
Mark Morial, President of the National Urban League, Tim Murphy, Chairman of the Board, members of the National Urban League Board of Trustees, National Urban League staff, affiliate CEOs and board members, officers and members of the National Council of Urban League Guilds, past officers of the National Urban League, young professionals and officers, and cherished guests, good afternoon. I greet you today on behalf of the National Council of Urban League Guilds, an affinity group of the National Urban League. I am Angela R. Simmons-Smith, and it is both an honor and a blessing to stand before you today. The National Council of Urban League Guild was born out of a movement designed to uplift, empower, and change a nation that too often turned its back on those who didn't look like the majority. And while time has passed, the challenges remain. The urgency remains and the mission remains. We still believe in a nation where freedom, equity, and equality are not privileges for a few, but promises for all, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation. For over 80 years, the National Council of Urban League Guilds has served as a beacon of that mission, continuing the legacy of the National Urban League Guild, founded in 1942 by the incomparable Molly Moon, a fierce fighter for justice and a brilliant fundraiser. Mrs. Moon used her voice, her influence, and her unwavering commitment to advance the work of the Urban League. Her vision and strength continue to guide and inspire us as we build on a foundation rooted in service, advocacy, self-sufficiency, and a relentless drive for lasting change in our communities. As Guilders, we stand proudly in the lineage of Urban League giants like Lester Granger, Whitney M. Young Jr., Vernon Jordan, and of course, Molly Moon, and our current CEO, Mark H. Morial. But we also honor the countless unnamed foot soldiers, our Guilders, who give their time, energy, and hearts to this movement every day. Like the art, music, and literature of the Harlem Renaissance, the work of the Guild is not only about today, it's about the legacy we leave for tomorrow. We rise like a phoenix from the ashes of systemic racism, injustice, and inequity. The fight for justice has never been silent. It's been sung, painted, written, and shouted from the rooftops, and today is no different. We continue to rise in a political landscape that too often promotes oppression, but we do not shrink, we press forward. As we gather today to honor the tireless work of our Guilders across the nation, I often wonder, did Molly Moon imagine 83 years ago that this group would be advocating with such courage and determination on behalf of our communities? Did she envision us being the voice of the voiceless in cities large and small, bringing strength, dignity, and purpose to neighborhoods that are too often forgotten? Let me share this. Guilders have contributed 70,942 volunteer hours and saved our local affiliates over $2,550,000 in personnel costs. That is power of service. That is the legacy we honor and the legacy we continue to build. Today, we celebrate, but we also recommit. We reflect on what we can accomplish when we work together with mutual respect and gratitude for the varied strengths each of us brings. As stated in Ephesians 6, the body has many parts, but none of them can replace the other. We are one mission, stronger together. And as we reflect, let us recognize the power of institutional knowledge. The National Urban League and all of its affiliates are more than organizations. They are living repositories of wisdom and resilience, built over decades of hard-fought progress. The lessons of our past, won through struggle and sacrifice, are not just historical records, they are blueprints of the future. When we speak of social justice, equity, fair housing, education, or economic opportunity, we're not discussing theories, we're drawing on the legacy of those who came before us. We are standing on the shoulders of giants, and it is our sacred responsibility to preserve that knowledge and pass it on, so that this movement never loses momentum or its moral clarity. We now stand at a defining moment, a fork in the road. As we prepare to move forward, I offer 3 reflections. Democracy is on fire, but we are not powerless. Now is not the time to sit back. Now is the time to act. Use your voice, use your vote, use your platform. Let us recommit to being protectors of democracies, builders of trust, and agents of accountability. 2, use your gifts, whatever they are. Whether you are an artist, an organizer, a strategist, an educator, an entrepreneur, or an executive sitting in the C-suite, your gifts are valuable. Your gifts are needed. Let us make space for everyone's contribution. The National Council of Urban League Guild is proud to continue partnering with our National Urban League with young professionals to expand the Urban League movement's reach and impact. No gift is too small when used for good. 3, listen deeply and speak wisely. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Let us use them in that proportion. Listening is leadership. It is how we learn, it is how we grow, and it is how we honor those we serve. True power lies not in just being heard, but in making room for others to be heard. As we depart from this conference, let us not just carry inspiration, let us carry action. Let us carry collaboration, and let us carry courage. Let us rise together, one mission, stronger together. Use your power. Thank God, and may God bless and keep you as He orders your steps on this journey toward racial equity and justice. Ride on, National Council of Urban League Guilds. Continue the fight for what is right. As the late Congressman John Lewis urged us, get into good trouble. Let us challenge the systems that seek to keep us down and continue to lift up those who too often are overlooked. The road ahead may be difficult, but we do not walk it alone. We have the strength of our ancestors, the wisdom of our elders, the protection of our God, and the power of institutional memory lighting the way forward. Together, we will rise. Together, we will thrive. And together, we will build a more just and equitable future for all. Thank you.
Angela, that was fantastic. Thank you. And now, we would like to introduce William Barnes, President and CEO of the Urban League of Alabama and President of the Advisory Council of Executives. Mr. Barnes is a proven leader who advocates effectively for more economic developments, early childhood education, better schools, and crime prevention. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. William Barnes.
Good afternoon, Urban Leaguers. Good afternoon. I know you got food in your mouth. Good afternoon, Urban Leaguers. It is a distinct honor and privilege to join you in a moment of reverence, reflection, and recognition. Today we gather not only to enjoy fellowship and celebrate excellence, but to pay tribute to the individuals whose shoulders we stand upon and whose work continues to shape and fight for equity, justice, and the opportunity for all. As we sit together, united by a mission that has endured more than a decade, as a matter of fact, more than 100 years, we are reminded that a legacy is not merely what we leave behind, but it is a legacy of what we build while we're here. The honorees that we're recognizing tonight have not only upheld the enduring values of the Urban League movement, they have expanded its reach, deepened its impact, and lit the path forward for future generations and advocates and change makers. They remind us that civil rights too are not confined to the past, but it is alive and well today. It is founded in policymakers fighting for equity, in educators unlocking futures, in the workforce developer creating work paths for prosperity. It's in the advocate confronting injustices and every hand extended in service of others. At this moment in history, with communities across the nation, renewed challenges against dignity and justice, our charge is clear. Our charge is to honor legacy not only with words, but with action, courage, and unity. Let today's celebration be both a tribute and a call to action. A tribute to those who made the impossible possible, and a call to each of us to lead, serve, and uplift until the promise of equity not only is a dream deferred, but is a dream delivered. If I can, let me ask all of our Guilders to stand. And as they rise, if you would give them a roaring round of applause for the work that they've done. Let me say this, it is in the volunteer work of the Urban League Guild that I think that we stand on across this country as it relates to our ability to do the work that we do. Let me have all Urban League CEOs in the room. If you're an Urban League CEO affiliate, if you would please stand. And if you would remain standing, because what I want you to see is that they're here to support you. So to our Guilders, we say this: thank you for the work that you have done over the decades and years. On behalf of all of the Urban League CEOs across this nation, we can say nothing more than but simply thank you. To our honorees, congratulations to each of you. And may your legacy continue to grow in the hearts, minds, and future of those you inspire. We hope that you have a continued wonderful rest of the conference. And remember, once an Urban Leaguer, always an Urban Leaguer. Thank you.
William, thank you. As a leading national organization with deep local roots, the League's work requires significant investments of time, talent, and resources. That's why the National Urban League is especially grateful to sponsors, J.P. Morgan Chase and Amazon, for their support of this year's luncheon. With us today are luncheon sponsors, Damian Herron, Midwest Executive Community Engagement with J.P. Morgan Chase, and Rashida Liberty, Global Lead, External Affairs and Partnership at Amazon. Let's please welcome them to the stage as well.
There was a tree down in the woods, the prettiest tree that you ever did see. Now the tree has roots that need water to grow jobs, grow skills, make the whole world go. Oh, make the green grass grow all around, make the green grass grow all around.
At J.P. Morgan Chase, the investments we make help make businesses happen, that make jobs happen, that make communities happen. Together, we make momentum happen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Damian Herron, the Director of Midwest Public Engagement at J.P. Morgan Chase. On behalf of all my colleagues around the globe, I am honored to join you here at the Legacy Leadership Awards and Luncheon at this year's National Urban League Conference in the great city of Cleveland. At J.P. Morgan Chase, we believe that the strength of our business is linked to the vitality of the communities that we serve. As the only U.S. bank with branches in all 48 lower states and Washington, D.C., we're also the largest bank for small businesses and the bank of choice for many vital financial institutions across the country. And still, we strive to be the local bank for all. And we use our size and scale to make progress towards this goal every day. Our partnerships with local organizations help us meet some of the most pressing financial needs of our residents, businesses, local organizations, and communities. And for more than a century, we have provided local expertise and support through our branches lent to small businesses, created good-paying jobs across the heartland in places like Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, and of course, Ohio. Across the state of Ohio, we're proud to serve over 199,000 small business clients and 20,000 employees, making us one of the largest private employers in the state. As a company with such deep history here, our commitment to Ohio is not only about serving clients and providing leading products and services, it's also about being an integral part of the community's growth and success. Together, we're building a financial system that is safe, effective, and accessible to all, so that everyone can realize economic opportunity. Over the past decade, we provided over $30 million to the National Urban League and local affiliates. We are particularly proud to support the Urban League of Greater Cleveland with initiatives designed to improve access to economic opportunity for everyone, including the Equity Institute, which offers resources, training, and consulting services for C-suite leaders, early career members, professionals, and community. And the UBIS Business Growth Institute, which provides technical assistance and targeted capital to help accelerate the growth of underrepresented businesses. JP Morgan Chase will continue to help power economic growth and create opportunities here in Cleveland and across Ohio and around the United States, so that every community has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and congratulations to all our honorees. Thank you very much.
As mentioned before, I am Rashida Liberty, the proud sponsor of the National Urban League's convention. Welcome. I lead the community and partner engagement team for Amazon. I am excited to be here, excited to be a part, and I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Mark Morio and the entire National Urban League organization for allowing Amazon and our team to join you here this weekend. The camaraderie and warmth of this community never fails to inspire me, and I'm looking forward, I would say, filled with pride that we're still here, I am proud at the strides Amazon has taken in the world to create sustained collaboration and meaningful change across the communities we collectively serve. Our company is dedicated to crafting inclusive technologies and experiences that unite people from all walks of life. We have a new initiative that we're launching. It's called In This Together. We call it ITT. It's our global initiative that provides a structured approach to sharing Amazon's resources with our external partners. Now, when you typically think of Amazon, we all think of the boxes, right? So for all you husbands, your wives got boxes coming to the house while you're here. And for all the women in the audience today, you have boxes that are being delivered and you're getting that notification right now. But we're much more than that. We are 100+ companies under a business of Amazon. Operations is one of the 100 entities. And so we know that there's been sometimes some difficulty for our partners and our communities to understand, how do I get hired? How do I sell on Amazon? How do I supply? If I'm a supplier, I know they need my resources. And then how do I own one of those businesses, those little gray trucks that go up and down the road? Can I own one of those? And so what we're trying to do is provide that information through In This Together. And when we think about the selling, if you make something, you make jewelry, you have a book that you want to get out, we know that you need an outlet or some place in order to get that information out. And Amazon has that as a solution for you. So In This Together is all about that. And I want to speak most importantly about something that I think touches the National Urban League and the communities that you reach, and that is about access. We are really making a bold push to close the digital divide, providing free AI certifications, free training, so that people can get caught up in our communities. And lastly, the basic needs of food security. We know that it is a tough time, and we want to be able to provide resources to the doorsteps of individuals, with saving them the disparaging remarks in the grocery store or going to a food pantry. And we have that with our logistics network. We're able to feed those food deserts and provide those programs at a discounted rate, allowing people to use their EBT, SNAP, or welfare benefits. I want to thank you for allowing us this opportunity, and I want to invite you to learn more as we celebrate the Community Day with you this upcoming Saturday with the Family Day Expo. That is our intent, to provide those access resources for those communities that will be there. Thank you again for the privilege of sharing this moment with all of you. Here's to the National Urban League, and here's to building more inclusive tech and access for the communities that you serve. We are in this together. Thank you.
Damien and Liberty, thank you. I told Liberty I've got 3 boxes coming today. Hopefully she'll hook me up with that. Now, we welcome to the stage our champion for justice, opportunity, and economic advancement, the President and CEO of the National Urban League, Mark H. Morial. I'm going to welcome him to the stage for a powerful fireside chat with investing icon and Chairman and CEO, co-CEO of Ariel Investments, John W. Rogers Jr. Mark Morial.
Testing. Hey, Urban Leaguers. How's lunch? Let's give the working staff serving us here at the Huntington Convention Center a round of applause. Thanks to them, we're enjoying a good afternoon. Let's see, where's John? Oh, John, come on out. Ladies and gentlemen, the great John Rogers is with me this afternoon. We have only about 15 minutes. John, my first question is, I want to ask you what investment banking is. We hear that term all the time, and it affects our lives in so many ways, but how would you describe investment banking?
I would describe investment banking as firms like Goldman Sachs were created to do investment banking. Lazard is another big brand, Morgan Stanley, and a big chunk of their original businesses were set up to advise large corporations on transactions. If they're going to buy another company, sell a company, buy a division, sell a division, you needed an expert advisor. And that's what they do. Investment bankers are those expert advisors when you're doing a transaction.
So your company, Ariel, has been a pioneer. And before we get into the discussion about business diversity, tell us exactly the whole suite of work that Ariel undertakes.
Well, thank you. Ariel Investments, we were the first African-American-owned money management and mutual fund company when we started in 1983. So we're 42 years old. And so we are basically in 2 businesses. We manage stock portfolios for parts of college endowments, hospital endowments, corporate pension funds, public pension funds. If they have a portion of their assets that are invested in the stock market, we could oversee that portion. We have a couple of products that fit into that, where we have a 42-year track record in small cap value investing, where we invest in smaller companies. And we have a team in New York that invests internationally and globally in large companies. And then finally, we have private equity businesses in New York that can work with large institutions. So that institutional money management business is a big part of our history and our legacy. But in 1986, we started the first African-American-owned and run mutual fund company. And so we have mutual funds that are available for individual investors. Just like Fidelity or Vanguard or T. Rowe Price, we're the little guys. And we hope that people will invest with us directly or talk to their financial advisor about using our mutual funds and being on their approved list. or being in the 529 program for Illinois. We're one of the options in the Illinois 529 program for families that have kids. We're also in the New Jersey 529 program, and we're trying more and more to build our business there. And then finally, we also want to get added to 401k plans for people that work in corporate America. You might have 20, 25 options. We just want to be that 26th option on your approved list at your 401k plan.
Now, should everyone have a financial advisor, even if they think, well, I don't have a lot of money to invest, why do I need a financial advisor? I've also heard some people say, I took a course in accounting and finance in college. I don't need a financial advisor. In fact, I'll do my own taxes. Why should people avail themselves of professional financial advice?
Well, it's like any field. Each of us, all of us are experts in different areas. Someone can be an extraordinary teacher, extraordinary lawyer, extraordinary doctor. You go to those experts because that's not your expertise. Most people have not had a lot of familiarity with the stock market, haven't invested a lot on their own. So having a financial advisor that can guide you, tell you which stocks to buy, which mutual funds to buy, how to diversify your portfolio and get ready for retirement. Having someone who's a true expert as your financial advisor can really make a difference.
Great. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that John Rogers is also a lifelong urban leaguer. He was one of the founders, YPs, hear me out, one of the founders of the Metropolitan Club of the Chicago Urban League, which was really a predecessor organization to the National Urban League Young Professionals. And with Jim Compton in Chicago, he was one of the founders. So let's give this lifelong urban leaguer a round of applause. Thank him so much for his commitment, and this is one of the reasons why he's here.
I would just say really quickly, Jim Compton gave me the opportunity of a lifetime when he asked me to join the Urban League board back in 1983. I was 24 years old, and everybody else on the board was 15 years older, 20 years older. But we had these giants of the Chicago business community on the board, and I was just so fortunate to be there.
Absolutely, and I'm so thankful that you always pay tribute to that opportunity that was provided. Now, John, in this climate today, you've pioneered an approach to economic empowerment and black economic empowerment in Chicago, which many other cities can and should take note of. And you've really you've stressed the idea that we need to think about things from a business diversity, not just a supplier diversity point of view. Talk about the distinction and why your thinking is where we ought to be.
Well, thank you. Supplier diversity, I think, is really kind of 40 years out of date. Our economy used to be focused on supply chain. That's where a lot of the wealth and jobs are created. Business diversity is a term that the University of Chicago coined, and our civic committee of our business leadership groups in Chicago have also utilized the term business diversity instead, because our economy has become more of a professional services, financial services, and technology-based economy. So if you want to build wealth in the black community, we have to be included in the parts of the economy where the wealth and jobs will be created in the 21st century. So I always tell people, so modern day Jim Crow, if black and brown people can only do the construction and the catering and the janitorial services, important jobs, important career paths, important businesses, when all the wealth's being created, like you said, in investment banking, in law firms, in consulting, in advertising agencies, technology firms, you think about all the different businesses out there where wealth's created today, and somehow we've been pigeonholed in the low margin parts of the economy where very little wealth has been created. In Chicago, our civic committee got McKinsey to do pro bono work that showed in Chicagoland the biggest spend is in business and professional services, $85 billion, profit margins 5 to 20%. Construction is roughly $25 billion, profit margins less than 1%. That's a really unstable business model. So we have to move into the 21st century and be included in the place where the wealth and jobs are created today.
And when you say, just expand a little bit on business and professional services, so there's investment banking, there's lawyering, I guess accounting, special events. What What does that consist of?
Well, so many people go to business school to get into these fields. It's also consulting. Again, the BCGs, the McKinseys of the world. It's the advertising agencies, all the things that go on Madison Avenue in New York City. You have all the media space, television, broadcasting, entertainment, sports, movies. You go on and on. More of our economy is in those types of places. Maybe 100 years ago, it was steel plants and coal plants and places like that that were all about procurement and commodities. We've moved well beyond that. And of course, Silicon Valley, where so much wealth is created by the Apples and the Microsofts and all the rest. And we deserve to be leaders in those fields too. And it's just been extraordinary that we are left out of the best places. Wall Street and Silicon Valley is a place where we hardly make a dent. Reverend Jackson, as you know, had conferences in New York and in Silicon Valley to shine a light on that problem. And that's what we have to be able to do, is realize it's a very broad cross-section of our economy we've been basically locked out of.
And think about it, ladies and gentlemen, this conference, we procure services. All of this audio-visual complexity and sophistication that you see involves multiple contracts that we have with multiple firms. If you look at these beautiful, wonderful flowers, we use a firm that not only we purchase the flowers from, but does the design, puts the flowers down, and will repurpose them for a separate event. So even in many respects, we may not think that for something like this, for a conference like this, we're procuring much business from services-focused corporations. So it's an excellent point. Talk about the initiative in Chicago. You've said, look, in Chicago, some of these great institutions, Field Museum, if you will, the University of Chicago, other universities and non-profits have not necessarily done their job to fulfill their commitment to more inclusive procurement practices. Talk about what you all have stood up in Chicago, how it's set up, and how it's working.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the University of Chicago, over 20 years ago, got this model going around this terminology of business diversity. And right now, if you look throughout Chicago, the government does the best job of working with minority-owned businesses. That's for sure. But our economy has all these other institutions, not only the large corporations that do so, but the universities, the hospitals, the museums, all the nonprofits, the foundations. They spend enormous amounts of money on everything. You think about your average hospital. They typically have billions of dollars to invest. They advertise to get customers. They have all kinds of technology throughout hospitals. They spend money on just about everything. These anchor institutions, hospitals, universities, and museums, have been able to get off the hook and not have to spend money with black businesses. And it's just heartbreaking to see that, especially in all of our major cities. For example, the museums are almost always on city property and almost always getting subsidized by the local governments. That's true in New York, it's true in Chicago, and true in many major cities. And no one has ever put pressure on those institutions, those nonprofits, to include us in all the good stuff. And you think about it, often their boards of directors of those nonprofits are majority white men who are going to send the business to their relationships, the people they know, the people they grew up with. And as Reverend Jackson again always says, not that they're just not thinking about us, because they have their friends and relationships and they create all the opportunities for them. So we have a responsibility to not let these hospitals, universities, and museums off the hook, and the major foundations.
I heard a term for that. It's called opportunity hoarding, where you hoard opportunities for your networks and for your friends. And there's an element of that that's about human nature. And when you're trying to create a more inclusive economy, you've got to sometimes break up some of those cartels. I often tell the story. When I was mayor of New Orleans, the city owned the train station, right? And the train station was embedded under a sort of a public benefit corporation. And we were reviewing an expansion plan in the late 90s. And we found that the law firm that represented that agency had represented that agency since 1952. And they literally passed the pass the work down through 3 generations in a single family. The insurance work, it was the same thing. An insurance firm that went back to 1952, and it had been passed down through 2 generations of that family. And I asked the question, has this ever been bid or RFP? Answer, no, right? And sometimes people get embedded in this work and there's no way to break in, and it takes public policy decision making. So I took the approach that I was gonna RFP all the work, right? And I was gonna put inclusionary provisions in the RFP in an effort to change everything. And in many respects, sometimes you got a better deal, a better price, better responsiveness by simply re-RFPing it. So in Chicago, talk about the success you've had, if you will, working with and bringing pressure on these nonprofits, and sort of how is it set up in Chicago? Because people here from all over the country are saying, wow, that might be something I want to do. How's the model work?
Well, the model is starting to work, and we're starting to bring back some of the legacies of prior mayors. Harold Washington fought for economic justice. We all know Maynard Jackson was, my personal hero, worked so hard for black businesses in Atlanta. You were doing extraordinary work in New Orleans. We lost that thread. We lost that ability to make that a priority and understand all the jobs that were created by those strong black businesses, all the political empowerment that came from it, all the philanthropy that came from it. And we had that in Chicago with the George Johnson with Afro Sheen and Ultra Sheen, John Johnson with Ebony and Jet. They made a difference in our communities, and the political leaders knew how important it was. We need to bring back that mindset, and we're starting to. Mayor Johnson in Chicago and Mayor Adams in New York both convened meetings with all of the major museums in their cities to let them know that it was not okay to continue to not work with black businesses. So we're seeing progress. We've been having conversations with Mayor Bibb here on the same analysis. So we're starting to see change, but it's still slow going. In Chicago, as I said, keep saying the University of Chicago's done a great job, but DePaul, Loyola, Roosevelt, Columbia, IIT, Northwestern are not working with black businesses in any meaningful ways outside of the traditional construction and low margin contracting. So as we make some steps forward, still we have a long, long way to go. And fortunately, our civic committee, headed up by Derek Douglas, who used to work in the Obama White House,
yeah, of course,
he's committed to this. And so there are 100 major institutions, again, in this civic committee. They're all hearing this message. We're getting data. Deloitte has volunteered, and BCG and McKinsey, to get all the data together to be able to show that we have a long, long way to go if we're going to create wealth in our economies. And as we know, wealth is tied to not only jobs, but healthcare, the violence in our community, the lack of educational opportunities are all tied directly to wealth. So this is so critical that we bring back and build large black businesses that can include all of us, and we'll be healthier, safer, better educated, and if we can only be treated completely fairly within our economic system.
So we're about at time. Final question. What is your call to action in this moment when much is being threatened, yet our resilience is strong? What's your call to action to this Urban League audience?
I would say, Dr. King always said that many progressive Americans deplore prejudice but accept economic injustice. So we've got to make people understand that economic injustice is so vitally important. So to do that, and we have a conference every year for African Americans on corporate boards, we ask our directors, because it's up to us, as John Lewis said, and it was mentioned earlier, to make good trouble in our leadership roles. So we have to get the data on the diversity of the leadership of all the companies we're involved in, who's on the executive committee, who's on the board, who are making the decisions and making sure that it represents our community. And then keep track of the purchasing by category. Not just one big number that could come from one big distribution contract or one big construction contract, but understand category by category how money is being spent. And if we keep track of this purchasing by category, then all of a sudden people will see the unfairness and see how all the good parts of the economy we're being left out of. So it's up to us to ask those questions. The cavalry's not coming to save us. We've got to do it ourselves.
And it's the Business Diversity Initiative of Chicago. What's the official name?
Yes, and even the Business Diversity Initiative, even though in this new world it's evolving, but our mission is still the same, to build wealth and jobs in our city.
Urban Leaguers, give it up for John Rogers. John Rogers of Ariel Investments, a lifelong Urban Leaguer and a great friend. John, thank you very much for taking time out of a demanding schedule to be with us today. Thank you very much. One more time, John Rogers.
Mark and John, thank you for that fantastic conversation. All right, let's begin what some people call the most special part of our time together, our Guild Awards. Please welcome back to the stage Angela R. Simmons-Smith, President of the National Council of Urban League Guilds, to present the awards. Angela, please come back up to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we can all attest, this luncheon is a celebration of connection, purpose, and shared vision, a heartfelt tribute to excellence in service. The service of our league affiliate chapters and guilders is not an afterthought. It is the very essence of who you are and why we gather here today. And now with me to help present this year's regional awards are Tanya Lundy, our Central Regional Director, and Stephen Wright, our Southern Regional Director. And I will present the awards for our Eastern and Western regions. Please help me welcome Tanya and Stephen.
Thank you, Madam President. Let's begin with the awesome Central Regional Awards. For the Regional Community Service Award, the recipient is the Urban League of Greater Madison. They did an awesome year of 6 sickle cell blood drives. President Corinda Rainey Moore, Ruben Anthony Jr., PhD Affiliate CEO, and Frank Brine, Board Chair. For our Central Region Fundraising Award, the recipient is the Urban League Guild of Metropolitan St. Louis that raised $451,370 for their affiliate. The Keisha Joseph President, Michael McMillan Affiliate CEO, and Michael Moen Board Chair. Our Whitney M. Young Jr. Excellent Leadership Award for the Central Region goes to the Akron Urban League Guild, Kenya Young President, John Williams Affiliate CEO, and Jolene Lane Board Chair.
And now for the Eastern Region Awards. The Eastern Region Community Service Award recipient is the Greater Washington Urban League Guild. The project is Steam Ahead. Dr. Margaret Scott Graves, Vice President, George Lambert, Affiliate CEO, Dawn Hendricks, Board Chair. The Urban League Guild of Greater Philadelphia, $26,530. Gloria Temple Epperson, President. Darren Anderson Sr., PhD, Affiliate CEO, and Douglas Oliver, Board Chair. Whitney M. Young Jr. Eastern Chapter Award goes to the Urban League Guild of Greater Philadelphia, President Gloria Temple Epperson, Affiliate CEO Darren Anderson Sr., and Board Chair Douglas Oliver.
Southern Region Awards. Southern Region Community Service Award recipient, the Urban League of Middle Tennessee. Their project was Expungent Project, etc. Patricia Malone Smith is the president, Clifton Harris is the affiliate CEO, and Chandra Vassar is the board chair. Southern Region Fundraising Award recipient is the Houston Area Urban League Guild. He raised $13,500. Terry Scott is the president, Judson Robinson is the affiliate CEO, and Mark Jacob is the board chair. And a Whitney M. Young Jr. Excellent Leadership for the Southern Region Chapter Award. The recipient is the Houston Area Urban League Guild. The president, standing in for the president, Curtis Walter, is Terry Scott. Judson Robinson is the affiliate CEO, and Mark Jacobs is the board chair.
For our Western Region Awards, Western Region Community Service Award recipient is the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle Guild. Community service event was Trailblazing Black Women of Washington State. Colette Robinson, President. Michelle Merriweather, Affiliate CEO. Blair Taylor, Board Chair. Western Region Fundraising Award recipient goes to Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle Guild. Colette Robinson, President. Michelle Merriweather, Affiliate CEO, and Blair Taylor, Board Chair. Western Region Whitney M. Young Chapter Award goes to the Los Angeles Urban League Guild. Lillian Wilson, President. Cynthia Mitchell-Hurd, Affiliate CEO. Keith Drake, Board Chair. Congratulations again to all of our awardees. Now for this year's Molly Moon Volunteer Service Award. The Molly Moon Volunteer Service Award celebrates the legacy of National Urban League Guild founder and president Molly Moon, whose spirit of generosity and philosophy of community vision remains timeless. And it is my honor to present the 2025 Molly Moon Award to Marguerite Ross, Tri-County Urban League Guild, Peoria.
Good afternoon, Guilders. Thank you, Madam President. It is a pleasure for me to accept the Molly Moon Award. I am truly humbled in receiving this prestigious award. I'd like to thank the affiliate president of the Tri-County Urban League, Ms. Felisa Doer, and Lorene J. King, who nominated me. She's the Guild President of the Tri-County Urban League. I'd like to thank them for seeing my volunteerism at the Tri-County Urban League, to seeing that my volunteering efforts at the Tri-County Urban League gained honorable mention. Also, I'd like to thank my family, my friends, for their loving support and their encouraging words. President Morial, Mr. Lassard, Sabrina, and your leadership staff, you have made my day here very comfortable. Mayor Bibb, President Maccabee, thank you for this beautiful event that you have at your Cleveland Center. I'd like to come back when I'm not attending a conference and maybe take in a baseball game or a cruise. Thank you, fellow Guilders, for your time, your talents, and your treasures in supporting your communities. We are Guilders, Guilders of influence. We are on one mission for one movement. So be intentional, be impactful, be Guild influencers. Thank you again for this prestigious award.
Congratulations, I'm a little taller. Congratulations again, and now I am happy to present the 2025 National Whitney M. Young Chapter of the Year Award to the Urban League Guild of Greater Philadelphia.
Once again, can we give a big round of applause to our 2025 winners? I want to thank all of you for being part of this special afternoon. As we close out this year's luncheon, be sure to join us at the Urban League Now Experience and Lounge, the heart of connection, culture, and creativity at this year's National Urban League Conference. This year, we're excited to introduce the brand new Creators Suite. It's a vibrant, exclusive space designed for influencers and digital tastemakers, whether you're capturing content, collaborating with fellow creators, or just soaking in the energy. This is your space to shine. Once again, thank you.